Jesus said, "Man cannot live on bread alone, but from every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." You're listening to Daily Truth.
Job chapter 42 verse 2 says this, "I know that you can do all things and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted." That God is omnipotent, all-powerful, able to accomplish all his holy will. No one can hinder his plans. No one can thwart his design. No one can stop or inhibit his decree. If there is something that the Lord has done, it is on purpose. If there is something that the Lord has neglected to do, it is according to his will. Mankind experiences sickness in this life because sin entered the world. That is true. But it is also simultaneously true that we experience sickness and suffering and persecution and all other kinds of tragedy in this life because we live in a sin-riddled world and because God in his sovereignty wills it. He wills suffering. He wills sickness. He wills even sin. He wills unbelief. This is the doctrine and understanding, according to Reformed theology, of the two wills of God. That God is not schizophrenic. He is not bipolar. He does not suffer from multiple personality disorder, if there is such a thing. But rather, God does, in fact, possess two wills, as it were. One is his moral will, or we might say his revealed will. This is what God desires, we might say. What God has commanded, what God has prescribed in Scripture. The moral will of God. Likewise, the revealed will of God. But we also know from Scripture that God has a hidden will. That God has his sovereign will. The moral will of God and the sovereign will of God. The revealed will of God and the hidden will of God. We see in the Scripture where God says that the hidden things belong to the Lord, but the things that he has revealed belong to us and our children forever. Meaning we teach our children and we teach ourselves and we work towards growing in faith and the things that God has plainly revealed to us. So parents, we teach our children, honor thy father and mother, and that this is the first commandment with a promise that things may go well with you, and that you may live a long life in the earth. We teach our children that because it is revealed to us by God. It is prescribed to us by God. This is his moral will, his revealed will. Running alongside the moral will of God, there is also his sovereign will. And in his sovereign will, at times, God allows children to experience immense tragedy at a young age, even tragedy to the point, God forbid, of death. This does not somehow contradict his revealed will that children obeying their father and their mother comes with a promise. God's moral will, his sovereign will, his revealed will, and his hidden will. The best example of God's moral will and his sovereign will seemingly contradicting The best example in all of human history and in all of the Scripture is the cross of Christ. Thou shalt not murder. God desires that no one would murder. God commands that no one would murder. And yet, before the foundations of the world were laid, he sovereignly ordained the murder of his own Son. Both Acts chapter 2 and Acts chapter 4 address this very matter. It says that the Jews and the Gentiles and the rulers of the law and all these people were gathered in Jerusalem, the holy city, to do whatever your hand and your plan decreed to take place. In other words, what's being said is that all these people with real moral culpability, with real human agency, with real moral responsibility for their sinful actions, all gathered together, and they put Jesus to death. And it was murder of an innocent man. It was sin. It was the most heinous and atrocious crime that has ever taken place. It was their choice. It was their free choice. And at the very same time, it was ordained by God so that they could do no other. And the Scripture holds the tension between both. God ordains it. People chose it. The biblical answer, yes.
Wait. Hold it. Big announcement, a scary announcement, a threat, but also a promise. The price of our conference, the Postmillennial and Theonomy conference, it's going up. It's going up right after Reformation Day. We are going to hold the price at $100, which is super cheap for a 3-day conference with Dr. James White, Dr. Joseph Boot, Dr. Gary DeMar, and the guy who's not a doctor, so we'll say Pastor Joel Webbon. We've got a great conference, May 5th, 6th, and 7th in Georgetown, Texas, just north of Austin for $100. Super cheap, but we can't hold that price forever. So if you want to get into that price, you got to get in now, right after Reformation Day, not Halloween. Reformation Day, October 31st. That's the last day that you can get in this conference, register at the price of $100. After that, starting November 1st, it's going to be $130. So go to rightresponseconference.com, rightresponseconference.com, and register today. Thanks.